This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello and welcome. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever day it is. Welcome to Saturday Morning Mysteries to you all. We are your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And we are back as per usual, as per every Saturday. We have returned and we are going to be telling more wild, wonderful, perhaps scary, dangerous, interesting tales of investigations from Darkwing Duck, the classic Disney animated show. And today, it is Grace's turn to tell a story. I went last week. Grace is back on deck today. Any business we need to cover before we jump on in? Anything you can think of, at least?
I think just like the general, like, we appreciate y'all for listening, for tuning in, for spreading the word. Keep telling your friends, keep liking, subscribing, rating, leaving comments. That helps. Why people emphasize that so much is that it helps other people find us, basically. You know, the more love that we get on whatever platform you're listening to us on, the more likely we'll appear in other searches. Algorithm will be helped out.
Algorithm gets boosted.
Yeah. So it just helps other people who we don't know and who we don't force to listen to because they're our friends and they have no choice. It lets them find us.
Yes, exactly. So yes, your support, it is greatly appreciated. And your additional homework of sharing, commenting, liking, subscribing is even more appreciated. We promise we'll give you all A+ if you turn the assignment in on time, which is next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Okay. You've got good cop teacher, bad cop teacher. I'll give you guys a week. Grace is right now. And actually, no, I agree with her. Comment, like, share, subscribe right now.
Yeah, you're already on
here. Got it pulled up. And enjoy what we have in store for today. So Grace, are you ready to take us off? Lead us into an adventure.
I am, indeed.
If you dare.
If we dare, yet again, into Darkwing Duck, which has definitely been, just, compared to our Scooby-Doo, it's definitely been a lot more, some real life shit going on. Today is no exception, although not quite as dark as some of our last few episodes have been, but does have connections to the very real world. So before we get into the episode, we're going to start with that real world connection, as we tend to do with Darkwing, I think, to set the scene a little more. So, Alexis, today we're going to examine an aspect of our everyday lives, an aspect that currently seems normal to us, so normal that it's actually hard to remember that you and I, not maybe all of our listeners, depending on how old they are, were alive at a time where this aspect of our lives was not normalized yet. And for our parents, most of their lives existed without this aspect. But for Gen Z, they've never known a world without this aspect.
Okay.
And they will never know a world without it. Specifically, the 24-hour news cycle.
Oh, man. Can I say real quick?
Yep.
I thought you were going to say the internet.
I know.
And I was like, ooh, and then my every bit of joy just left my body when you said 24-hour news cycle. All right, time for me to get angry. No, go ahead. All right, let's hear it.
Well, it's actually not the time for you to get angry because I literally wrote, we're not psychologists or sociologists, so we're not going to stop and muse or wax poetic on what a 24-hour news cycle means for our society.
Okay, good.
Or our relationships with mental health.
Yes.
Anything like that.
Over that conversation.
Yes.
Bonus content? Nope. That's an off-air discussion between me and Grace.
As usual, there are expert podcasts where they probably do break down the side of the issue, and we are not that podcast. Instead, before I dive into my Darkwing Duck episode this week, pardon me, I simply want to just paint a brief picture of the development of the 24-hour news cycle.
Okay.
So just the history of it. Because it's key to the story today and our criminals' motivations. Again, there are also probably other podcasts that deep dive into the history even more. Again, we're not that podcast. We're like the Spark Notes / like an unedited Wikipedia page level of podcast and research.
We're Spark Notes for Spark Notes.
Yeah, exactly.
We're Cliff Notes for Spark Notes.
Yep, exactly. Like we are again, there are experts out there who probably dive into this. not us. We're just going to touch on it and move on.
Yeah.
So anyways, yes, believe it or not, there was a time, a very long time, actually the majority of the time, where international news was not at our fingertips, where headlines weren't changing by the hour, by the minute even, and where you only had your local morning paper or maybe your radio station or local cable station to receive the news from. And in fact, regarding cable news specifically, up until 1980, there were really only like 3 major like cable news channels that were more on the national scale. And these would cover the news as it came at their allotted times. So, the 7:00 news, you knew to turn in to hear the news for that day. In addition, there's some also obviously like local news channels. And it's important to keep in mind that even during this time, before the 24-hour news cycle was basically invented, the news was still really competitive. I always think of like Anchorman and like the competing local news teams, women fighting for recognition to be anchors, lots of mustaches, all of that. But it wasn't until 1980 when Cincinnati born, actually, which I did not fully realize, Ted Turner launched CNN. Yeah, he's born in Cincinnati.
I didn't know he was from Cincinnati. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wow. I also didn't know that eventually he was the one who owned / created Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I
didn't realize that.
Essentially.
He does it all. Yeah.
But didn't I know he was from Cincinnati?
Yeah, I learned that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's true. I saw it in one random article, so I ran with it.
Probably,
that's where we're
probably
from.
True then. I trust them. I don't even know.
Yes.
I trust
you. So when Ted Turner launched CNN, again in 1980, this is really when the launch of the 24-hour news cycle was brought into fruition. And this was a concept, like loosely kind of been around. There's a lot of, again, probably more history-based podcasts that launch into like why this was the time that was right for it, all of that kind of stuff. But basically, Ted Turner had and his team obviously had this concept, which is exactly what it sounds like, a network that is basically a near constant coverage of the news, more news and nothing but the news. So not interspersed with sitcoms or talk shows, just 24-hour coverage of the news. And even though it launched in 1980 as kind of a novelty idea, again, there was no station that was on 24/7, just covering the news at this point. But, again, so 1980 it launched as pretty novelty. But there was kind of a few major events in the coming decades that would really solidify CNN as like the provider of 24-hour news. And that would also cement the concept of the 24-hour news cycle in the American public, all of which pretty much happened in the 90s. So the 80s to the 90s was kind of building up this concept a little more based on what I could tell. And then there was the 90s and the coverage of multiple events, but really these 2 specific ones that I'll name in a second, that really solidified like we can access news 24 hours a day. They will give us this coverage 24 hours a day. And most notably was, and I've mentioned this funny enough in multiple episodes so far, but CNN's coverage of the Gulf War. And then actually, we won't get into it, but it
happened.
It happened. It was a big deal, folks. Yeah. And actually, according to and I'll name a source or two in a minute, obviously beyond Wikipedia, because I obviously use that too. But actually what a really big solidifier of the 24-hour news cycle, even beyond CNN, when other like stations started to get in the game, like Fox and MSNBC, was the O.J. Simpson trial in the mid 90s. So pretty much that trial was covered like every second of every day. It gave the perfect opportunity to have like experts and commentators, lawyers, people that knew the victims and O.J. Simpson, all able to come in and constantly be giving interviews while obviously the very salacious trial was happening. That's crazy. Yeah. And like, that, again, we won't get into all of the ramifications of things, but, think of why the Kardashians are so popular now. Their dad or stepdad or whoever the heck.
They've been commanding the media for a long time.
A very long time.
Can I just say real quick too?
Yeah.
So Rob Kardashian, Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you've watched the OJ Simpson show that they did on A&E or FX. It's really good. It's really good. Before Cuba Gooding Jr. went off the rails. Well, I guess it was after he went off the rails, but before he was alleged of going off the rails. Anyway, so they portray Rob Kardashian as kind of like he actually didn't want to be in the limelight. Like the only reason he was really on OJ's legal team was because he was friends with OJ. Like that wasn't the kind of, he was like, well, you're my friend and you're a lawyer and I trust you. So I need you on my side. And he was like, okay, I'm roped into this now. So it's funny how he was like apprehensive to being on TV even, or like being involved with all of that. And then now his family, now that, well, he's passed away obviously, but his family's like, you cannot turn on TV without them freaking seeing them anyway.
Exactly.
Before I make some of our listeners upset with my thoughts on them, maybe not actually. I hope I won't make them upset with those thoughts, but anyway, continue.
Again, other podcasts will dive into the ramifications of 24-hour news cycle and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Pardon me. But a key part of having a 24-hour news channel is filling up all of the time. Like, what do you fill it with when there's not a murder trial going on that's gripping the nation? Right. In one article that I read, which was NPR's, quote, The Power of the 24-Hour News Cycle, unquote, by Leanne Hansen and David Folkenfick. And it's from the early 2000s, this article, but still stands pretty true today. They described that these shows have to, like, the process of filling the air on these shows is really just biding time and waiting for the next crisis to cover. Like, again, that they said that in, like, I think this article is from like 2005, and it just stands more and more true.
Meanwhile, and I'm not going to get into this.
I knew you'd have a lot to say.
Great positive things are going on meanwhile, but because it's not sexy or salacious or thrilling or whatever, like, now I don't give a fuck about that. Like, anyway.
Yes.
Go on.
Again,
another podcast.
Yep. And just like the ramifications of the building up to that constant access and expectation that we now have of we can have news when we want it, whenever we want it, the biggest headlines. And I'll get to a note about that. Yeah, I'll just say it now, actually, part of that also goes into competition within news stations, which I know Alexis definitely, you know more about this, I think, than I do, of just like channels in competition sometimes.
Well, that's just because I'm a legal nerd and
exactly.
Like, looking at who owns who and the contracts. But not like literally, but it's just anyway.
But I mean that was even going on. Again, it's even more fierce now. Why do we see local newspapers closing as they can't keep up with the huge syndicates and all that stuff, and being bought, trampled out. But this competition between news stations to be number one has always been there. They want the most viewers. Today it's they want the most clicks. Yep, exactly. Tying into past episodes always.
Yay, bring it again.
And so while they had to wait for the next crisis again to cover, they had to find things to fill the waves with. And so they did. And in the 90s, as other news channels were starting to get on board with this 24-hour news cycle, basically mimicking what CNN was doing, the competition to have the best stories filling the air between tragedies became even more cutthroat than it already was, because of the expectation of being able to turn on the news and have something salacious and have the big sexy headline. So it is this drive to fill up the emerging 24-hour news cycle, in addition to network pressure to always stay one step ahead of the competition with the stories that you're covering. That brings us to our story today.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yes. Also, quick note of just another source I used, again, beyond Wikipedia, was WBUR's How Ted Turner's Vision for CNN Sparked the 24-Hour News Cycle by Jeremy Hobson. Another article. Is great and very helpful. But we are not NPR, WBUR, or CNN. We're Saturday Morning Mysteries. So the tale I'm going to tell you today. We're better than them all. Click here.
Subscribe, like, share this video right now to show them that we're better.
Boom, baby.
Boom.
So the story we're telling you instead is not a headline, but instead from Darkwing Duck.
Uh-huh.
And like we've said in every episode so far, because Disney Plus is like set up really weird, it's either season 2, episode, I think 11 on that platform, or according to the internet, it's season 3, episode 9. Like, again, it's all fucked up how it's all recorded here and there.
Let's just go by the title of it. People can search that way wherever. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. It's called Fraudcast News.
Fraudcast News.
Yes, a great title. So by the time this episode aired in 1991, the 24-hour news cycle was really starting to be noticed by other stations who, again, were following CNN's lead. And St. Canard is not exempt from this trend. But how was a little local news station in St. Canard going to beat out the biggest names in the game?
Oh boy.
Well, thanks to ambitious local news anchor Bianca Binkley, the Canard copy, which is what the station was called, wasn't just going to follow the latest headlines. They were going to take to the streets to find the headlines.
Oh boy.
So before we join our what we would now call an investigative news crew on the streets of St. Canard, let's take a look at Bianca Binkley. So Bianca is a duck with like perfectly like coiffed black hair, a lot of great volume in the bangs and at the base. She's kind of sporting a classic like news lady of the 80s and 90s look of like a long pencil skirt, a button up with like a little like ascot situation going on.
Okay. Her power suit, essentially.
Yes, full on. Always power suit, a sensible heel with
For
it.
news at 9.
Yeah, news at 9. The Canard copy. And actually, she has like the perfect, like great, like news anchor voice of like, and now the news. I'm Bianca Binkley with the Canard copy at 9.
That's like her normal voice and cadence. Like, tonight for dinner, I will be eating a delicious salmon. I woke up at 8:30 and began my...
No, but like actually is how she speaks.
Partner is like, please just talk normally.
This is talking normally, but more next week.
At the wedding, she was like, I do.
Or did I? Find out tomorrow morning at 6 on the Canard copy. More on this afterward from our sponsors.
Was the wedding interrupted? We'll find out. Will I get divorced? Time will tell.
But experts say most likely. So like
another podcast for that topic as well. Anyways,
truly her moment to moment voice is that. And she also is like a hero within St. Canard. Like LP describes her as one point as like beautiful, brilliant, and successful. She's also like a role. Yeah, LP is just
LP
like
he knows like about all
for all of these.
He's always reading the tabloids and like he's always watching the news.
I think
LP is that one.
LP, when he eventually gets replaced by Gosling, the adopted daughter, that he's just gonna become like the St. Canard, like TMZ, like E News. Just LP.
He's got Gloria Swan song. He's got Binkley,
Bianca Binkley.
Bianca Binkley.
Got it all
of them. He knows.
LP has the T. But speaking of Gosling, she totally looks up to Bianca because she's again intelligent. She's smart. She's a female identifying news anchor in 1991, like still up and coming industry for women to be in. And we briefly mentioned Gosling. Yeah, last episode. I do want to point out that a Gosling is a baby goose. So they just named her Baby Goose.
Baby Goose. Is she a duck? I don't know.
I thought she was a duck, but when I realized a Gosling was a baby goose or Gosling was a baby goose.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I think they also just call her Gauze sometimes, so I probably will refer to her as that, or I just like that nickname.
If they don't, then I like that better.
That's what I call her.
Pretty cool.
But yes, so like we mentioned last episode, this is DW's adopted daughter. The long story short, we briefly got into it last episode. She came into his life. Basically, her family was targeted by foul. They tried to kidnap her. I'm pretty sure her whole family was murdered. DW came in and saved the day, took her under his wing with Launchpad. They live in like a 2.5 men living situation, I guess. I've never actually watched that show really, but
it's actually that show's pretty good. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
It was always on like right before on like the CW that like America's Next Top Model was on or something. So I'd watch the last like 5 minutes of it to then watch my reality show.
Before America's Next Top Model. Anyway, the most important show. Let's be truly. Yeah, it is funny. And I'm glad you just made that joke because that's like totally what the situation is like now that you mentioned it. Like, why? Because LP is just always there.
Yeah, he's just like,
and also, so do they show the house in this episode?
Yeah,
he just like lives in the suburbs. He doesn't have like some big old like lair where he can like plan all of his vigilante activity. He literally just lives in like a cute little, maybe like a ranch or like a small like bungalow in the suburbs.
Yes, exactly.
Again, like 2.5 men style.
I will say he does have like a separate layer that's like on top of like some bridge of St. Canard. But yeah, his like day to day is not in the layer. It's like, a cute little suburbia.
Cute little house. Yeah. He just totally lives this normal life with his adopted daughter and LP. Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Gauze, like we described last episode, she's a little 9-year-old. She's spunky, a little tomboy. She is ambitious. Last episode, she wanted to see this movie get made and loved zombies and was going to take over that studio. And once she gets her a thought on what she wants to be and what she wants to do, that bitch gets it done, as we'll later see in this episode.
I'm all for calling this 9-year-old girl that bitch. I'm just saying right now, that's sticking.
Goslin is that
bitch. You go, girl.
Let me tell you. But anyways, so little did fans like Goslin and LP know that Bianca is more than just an ambitious, brilliant woman of the news. She is, in actuality, a complete maniac who will stop at nothing to be on top. Speaking of America's Next Top Model, want to be on top? Bianca does. Yeah. Even if it risks prison time, even if it risks killing to be on top. Bianca does not care what or who she has to destroy to climb the ladder to be number one. Oh my God. She will not hesitate to cut down whoever gets in her way to those ratings and beating out places like CNN. In theory, the Canard version of it, probably.
I love this.
Yes.
This reminds me of a very good movie. I'm sorry.
What movie?
Have you seen Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal?
No, it sounds scary.
It's not scary. It's not scary. This episode may have inspired it the way you've described it so far. I'll just say that it is a thriller. It's a straight up thriller, but not a scary thriller, like a action-y, politically kind of thriller, pop culture-y. Yeah, I would say for me. You mentioned Anchorman before as like being a good movie that kind of like depicts what news was like back then. I'll say Anchorman and Nightcrawler are two like two opposite ends, like a comedic take and like a thriller suspense take that like show you how news work. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, well, wait, as we go through this episode though, at the end, I want to hear your full take on like how similar or not this was, and also like
because so far it reminds me maybe exactly things will change in the episode and I'll be like, fuck that, never mind. But I wanted to hold it until the end, but I also didn't want to forget to be like, oh my God, I'm making a connection with a really great movie in this episode. You should watch that movie. Everyone watch that movie. End of the episode. I'll recap, remind me maybe, or I'll try to remember to recap to see if it is like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a total side note and tangent, because I hate horror movies, even though I love true crime and that kind of stuff. There's something about seeing it that like I cannot, it freaks me out too much. But I don't even know this about me. I was actually telling my friend Carl the other day, who is a big listener and also loves horror movies. He had texted me being like, oh, The Descendants Alexis mentioned. I love that movie. And I was telling him about how I again hate watching horror movies. I love reading the Wikipedia page for horror movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it gives me everything that happens and I don't have
you need to prefer. Yeah. Everything you prefer to know about that movie. Yes.
Yeah. And like they go so in depth on like never Wikipedia a movie if you haven't seen it yet, unless you want spoilers, because it gives you the play-by-play.
Yeah.
So I love doing that. Anyways, so when the Canard copy is dipping in ratings, Bianca absolutely like loses her shit. calling the ratings lower than a gopher's basement. And her like anchor worthy hair is like exploding in every direction. Her eyes are blazing red, and
makeup ladies are like freaking out, like, oh my god, we just finished that. Ooh,
she somehow like literally breathes fire and like is berating the rest of her staff that she has left. It's like this huge conference room. There's only like 2 crew members left.
I can't get over the breathing fire. I'm sorry.
I don't know how that happens, but she suddenly is breathing fire.
She is a bird, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's just a duck, I think.
I mean, I figured. Yeah. Okay.
Unclear how that happens.
A fire-breathing duck.
Very scary. And it's clear, again, like this huge conference room, there's only 2 crew members left. It's clear that everyone else has either...
They would have been represented by IATSE, by the way. Just saying, a plug to our last episode.
That this is actually not... There's another connection. Funny enough, we've said this in the past. We do not tell each other what our episodes are about. It's pure happenstance that one...
Gosselin,
being connected in here. 2, we're actually going to see throughout this whole episode the pure abuse that her 2 remaining crew members go through, like truly and darkly, like from like horrible hours, middle of the night, to her rage, to like risking their own lives for entertainment and content.
IATSE would have been involved heavily with this episode as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of red flags. There's another one later that after we had just finished recording your episode, I went and jotted down. So we'll get to that.
Cool.
But as her remaining team members like beg for mercy from her, she straight up fires one of them on the spot. And then the other one, like in a panic of like, I don't want to lose my job. Like, we need these ratings. He points out that a segment that they ran earlier that night, a segment that had covered Darkwing Duck's latest victory over a local gang, that the ratings jumped like, I don't remember the exact number of zeros, but it was like 0.0002%. And maybe we should cover more Darkwing Duck content. Like, maybe we should do like a highlight series on him.
God.
In her rage, she fires that suggestion, that crew member who made the suggestion, but then realizes no rating is too small of a rating. Like, no press is bad press. So she goes and runs out and rehires those 2 like terrified crew members. So I think we're like mice or something like that. I can't totally remember. And then she takes that idea as her own, and she's like, you know what we should do? A series on Darkwing Duck. Yeah, these abused
the dude like suggests that, she looks at him, like throws him out the window. Have you seen that meme too?
Oh yeah, like at like conference table.
Yeah, throws him out, and then he comes right back in. Actually, you were right.
She definitely does not say you were right. She says you're rehired. You. My idea is great.
Wow, she's terrible. Oh my God.
Truly terrifying.
Again, female characters getting the short end of the stick in this show. Thank God for Gosselin being a badass. Too bad she's like 9, but whatever.
Exactly. So, to her credit, I will say, at the first stab at this series in which she'll cover DW's like exploits and adventures, like, is good. She decides not to just like, or, is like a valiant effort. She at first is like, we're not just going to cover the crime after the fact. Like, here I don't know, investigative journalism like came to the forefront, but she basically was like, you know what? I'm going to take to the streets. I'm going to meet up with DW and LP, like live on the scene of a crime, basically like about to turn the Canard copy into that 24-hour as it happens live, like news coverage. So again, like, kind of inventive, getting in with the scene and like realizing this is how she's going to get ahead, is this type of content. So she full on goes like live during a full on fight in which when LP realizes it's like live on camera. Funny enough to your last episode, he's like, I'm a star. It's like, he runs to the camera as LP is like fighting the bad guys in the background and doing all of the work. And DW calls it a series of reports that flap in the night. It's just like, I
am the series of reports that flap in the night.
And it's just like on camera, like hamming it up as LP's doing literally all of the work.
Oh my gosh.
But then the series continues, the live coverage of the series after that fight of, okay, we're going to, kind of like a ride along with a cop type of thing. Like we're going to like follow them for a whole evening throughout the night. But nothing happens that night. Like they go to a diner. DW is like trying to like find
LP and DW do. Okay.
And like the news crew and Bianca like follow them there being like, so what do you do now? And they're like, we wait for crime. Like we're going to get some milkshakes while we wait for crime. What do you mean? What do we do? This is how it works, lady.
Oh my God. She's so terrible already.
Yep. And so like, she's kind of like pressuring him, like, where's the crime? Where's the crime? And he's like, and then sees like someone who's got like an expired parking meter. And so he's like, I will give them a parking ticket. And then like the old lady like beats the shit out of DW with her purse because she doesn't want a parking ticket.
She's like, you're not a cop. You can't give me a ticket.
Do this. Like,
are you?
Like, screw you. Don't be a meter maid.
Instead. Yeah.
What do you get a real job type of shit.
Which you're no authority figure.
Yeah. And they catch it all on camera. And DW, like when they're watching it later, is like, look at me, like recording it on VHS. Like he is so proud of himself. I think he's a total star. Goslin, when she sees it, is like completely embarrassed by the fact that he's getting his ass kicked by a grandma and is just like, you let this happen on like live television. Like, she is not stoked.
I don't know this man.
Yeah, she's
except
like,
everyone knows that she's his daughter too, because they're absolutely terrible at concealing identities.
Hide it.
Or I guess, everyone already knew that.
Exactly.
Adoption situation. Yeah, it's complicated.
So she is just
wow.
Like, fuck my life. This is horrible. And so it's, the next day and Bianca is, reviewing the ratings from this live coverage. And she is even more distraught than she was before because the ratings tanked because no one wanted to watch them just like sit at a fucking diner. Like, there was no action that actually happened.
So I don't care about watching people eat.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what Food Network's for, not the news.
Yeah, not the news. I'm changing the channel. Yep. They're like, oh wait, this actually makes me want to watch Food Network.
Yeah, you lost viewers actually.
Did not work.
Yep. And so Bianca like wants real villains and real crimes. Hilariously, one of the news, like the crew members is like, well, like, I don't remember their voice. I apologize. But they're basically like, well, like, it's probably going to be hard to like try. He's like trying to like reason with her, I guess. And he's like, yeah, it's hard to do get that type of content this week because apparently all of the villains were at the super villain convention in Florida this week. So there were no super villains for DW to fight.
They didn't think to call Fowl's communications people and make sure they had their calendars aligned.
See, they wanted it to be organic. They were like,
yeah, okay, I'll give them that. That's fair.
Exactly.
I prefer that it's organic than like prearranged like that. Okay, fair.
Exactly.
But I bet they'll learn their lesson after this.
So Bianca ignores this information.
Okay, never mind.
I'm just gonna steamroll what you're saying because we're gonna get to it in a second. So she's basically like yelling at the crew that like her career is over if DW doesn't fight a real villain as soon as possible. If her rankings don't get up, she's like, this is it. This is the end. Like I tried to do the 24-hour news media shit and it isn't working. We don't have any. They're basically she's
one day.
Yeah, and she's complaining. Yeah, that there's no crisis to cover essentially. But again, her like helpful news crew who's trying to help out is like, well, last night on the news, there was another segment that like got a little bump. Like there's a lot of hype around like this upcoming highly anticipated show coming to St. Canard. Like we could cover that. Like that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
As a quick note, the show that got the bump, it's a cartoon. Let's keep in mind, it's a solo act of the so-called Merriweather, who is miming cockroach. Like a cockroach that does mime, is a mime. And
okay, maybe it was okay that they bumped that.
But apparently St. Canard is stoked on it. I will say, like, we see, like,
on the show or on it getting bumped, on it getting canceled.
No, the show, the Merryweather Cockroach Mime is coming to town, and St. Canard is so excited. It's like a sold out performance.
Gotcha.
At one point, we do see the audience, and they're like, oh, "This is culture!" Like they love this cockroach mime named Merryweather. I guess
they're like watching, like very like intently, like now this is interesting. Yes, this I feel very educated.
Very highbrow.
Yes, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, a talking miming cockroach, or I guess I'm
not talking.
Yeah. If nothing else, it's an amazing thing.
Amazing feat. Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, instead of interpreting like her news crew's good advice of like, yes, we should just go cover like this upcoming show. Like people are so excited about it. Let's lean into it. Let's try and get an interview with Merryweather. Instead, Bianca, like rage fueled, like kind of that like blind white rage type of thing, like blinders on type of thing.
Yeah.
Bianca declares, if St. Canard's wants bugs, it's bugs they'll get.
Okay, she sounds like she's about to escalate this way out of proportion. Okay,
again,
white rage, like you said, just
rational advice of everyone around her. So then we see we cut to DW, Gauze, and LP just chilling at their nice suburbia home watching the evening news, and the Canard copy cuts into the programming for a crisis report. So again, like 24 US hours, filling the time until there's a crisis. Because they're suddenly live on the scene as a costumed figure jetpacks into the concert hall where Merryweather is miming on this huge stage, and it's like this little tiny cockroach.
It's like just like a regular normal size.
Yeah.
Is there like our cameras like zoomed in on him? Yeah. Okay. So like you can see that
the cameras are like rushing the stage as this happens and like zooming in and like trying to focus on like this little tiny dot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this costume figure literally jetpacks in, wearing this green cape flowing from behind them in this like tight green and like yellow striped outfit with like this like hood that's like the antenna and like the giant like fly eyes, like they bulge out.
Yeah.
I don't know what bug they're trying to be.
A bug. Okay.
Yeah, just like generally a bug. They declare
an amalgam of bugs.
Yeah, just arbitrarily a bug.
Yeah. Okay.
So they declare that they are the monarch of the insect kingdom. They are the bug master. And they kidnap the cockroach from the stage. Full on. They pluck the
kidnapping a celebrity.
Live on camera. Like the camera crew is there. They're covering all of it. And as they are jetpacking away, they challenge directly DW to catch them before they kidnap another bug.
Oh, are there more famous bugs just chilling around St. Canard, or just any bug?
Just a bug, most likely a famous one.
Okay.
Luckily and specifically, LP and DW, the cultured gentlemen that they are, they figure out what the next target must be. An exhibit at the St. Canard Museum. The golden, I'm going to say all of this wrong, so I apologize. The golden scarab.
Oh, scarab, yeah.
Yeah, of, how do I even say this?
Is it like an Egyptian or some sort of?
Quackantamen, which is meant to be a play on Tutankhamun, aka fucking King Tut.
Yeah.
Who, as you probably know, ruled Egypt as pharaoh in like the 1300s, whose tomb, why he's so famous is his tomb was like really intact, full of riches. Apparently his rule brought some peace after his father's chaotic rule. Also, did you know he ruled for like 10 years, but he died when he was like between 17 and 19? Like, he started his rule when he was like 10.
7? Oh,
yeah, like 7 to 10. And then
I thought that he started his rule when he was a teenager and died in like his late 20s, not like
a child whole time. So like, stop fighting.
Whoa. Stop it. Yeah, the guy could have had a long, prosperous life or something, or at least been taken out naturally by like a plague of some sort.
Yeah,
but
man. So I got all that from worldhistory.org, by the way.
Violence.
Hey, by Joshua J. Morse.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, very funny writers, very funny for tying it in subtly to like actual.
That's not a subtle tie-in whatsoever. Quacking quack and comment. It's like you can't even. It's equally reaching and being lazy at the same time.
All of the above. They just took out quack and inserted, or tut inserted quack.
Quack. Yeah, they're like, we don't care how impossible this is to pronounce. We can't think of any other.
We're gonna do it.
Pharaoh name.
Yeah, so, done. Done. And for those who don't know, scarab is like an amulet or a jewelry. It's basically an art of like a beetle that has connections to the stars and some gods of ancient Egypt. And the St. Canard Museum, it's like this giant, all golden, like decked out in like jewels, scarab. And DW and LP rush to the scene to try and protect it because they're like, what other famous bugs do we have in St. Canard? Oh, this one exhibit with this like very valuable artifact.
Okay. And so the bug master is not only after living bugs, but like, okay. Cause I guess it's overall, like you said, very valuable and expensive artifact. Okay.
Exactly.
Bug master is pretty smart.
So they rush to the scene. Exactly. They bust into the museum or something, and following behind them is the Canard copy. And there, of course, you see the golden scarab, right as DW and LP like jump to protect it. The bug master like jumps through another window, who has this like taser gun, essentially, that they call the wasp stinger. They shoot it right at DW as he tries to protect the artifact. And the bug master says, "Doesn't that just make you as mad as a hornet?" And DW goes, "Great, another pun-obsessed supervillain." Which is great.
Pun-obsessed.
They all are.
They all. I mean, to be fair, DW is as well.
Also is,
yeah. He's like, I'm the one supposed to be telling the puns, not you. Rude. Another pun-obsessed superhero. I must take them out.
Get out. Yeah, this is
these are my puns. Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, so through like stink bug gas and I guess threatening the cockroach, the bug master is actually able to steal the scarab and escape, which is again all caught live on camera.
Oh my gosh. Don't call the police, folks. Just record the incident as it happens. Yes.
Exactly. Again, the birthing of the 24-hour news cycle here, everyone. So back at home, Gaz is watching this live report happen. DW like sees the camera and is like, "This looks bad, but it's all under control. Like I got the bug master. I got it. It's under control, everyone. Don't worry." And DW, again, not embarrassed by any of these reports, but Goslin is like full on like mortified at his inability to capture the bug master. And she is extremely sus about the bug master.
She's smart. She's a very smart kid. Yeah.
Yes. Here we learn that Goslin is actually involved in her elementary school's local newspaper. Very precious. I don't know what it's called, but I bet it's cute.
She probably runs that whole ship.
Exactly. Yeah. That bitch. So,
that bitch Goslin, that 9-year-old.
9-year-old. So as a budding investigative journalist herself, she points out when DW and LP get home that it's pretty sus, like I'm sure you were imagining, that the Canard copy crew is always on the scene where the bug master comes. But the anchor, Bianca, is never doing the live coverage.
I was going to ask too.
Bug master is there.
Okay.
Unfortunately, DW and LP just write off like these suspicions. They're like, "You're just a kid. What?" LP probably doesn't say anything, but DW is like, "Go sit down. You're just a kid. Like, what are you talking about? Leave this to the professionals." But as we well know and have established, as Goslin is indeed that bitch, she is not going to take no for an answer. So with her elementary school like press pass in hand, Goslin just like goes into the TV station.
That's equally cute and terrifying because she's putting herself in a lot of danger.
And like unsupervised by any adult.
Yeah.
Because
she's all by herself or like she with Honker? Okay, no, all by herself. Okay, no friends,
this is her story
nothing.
To break.
I love it. You go, that bitch.
She also is trying to get to the top of the ratings of the elementary St. Canard press.
She actually wants her news outlet to replace the Canard copy. Yeah. She's like, "We do a much better job than you. Let me infiltrate here, get a look around to see what we're competing with."
I mean, we will learn as this episode goes on and kind of towards the end. Yeah. Goslin, she's going to be a great reporter one day.
Like I said at the beginning of last week's episode, I started really not liking her just because I was shooketh by her existence.
Her
but then by the very end of the episode, I was like, oh, wait, no, she's awesome.
Yes.
So I'm loving this. Let's continue to build up how awesome of a character she is.
Yep, exactly. So she goes to the TV station again, press pass in hand. She like busts into Bianca's dressing room where, to probably no surprise, she sees the Bugmaster costume.
Okay, look, 101. I'm sorry, but if you're like moonlighting as a criminal, a villain, like don't just leave your costume sitting out in your dressing room.
She's like full on like Bianca sitting in her like dressing room chair, like full on like cleaning her costume, like making it look nice, like.
Also, this is like an ethical violation. I mean, it's there are journalism. I've learned from a good friend of ours who happened to do our logo designs and whatnot in the past, Jenna Kendall, that there are rules of ethics in journalism. This is breaking all sorts of them, and also
not
doing
just
like
the law.
Not just the law, but like doing like personal, like your like little side gigs at the office, aka her like side gig of being a villain, like oh, let me like use these resources here at the office to like fix my costume, like in addition to the legal violations of like causing crime to report on it. But anyway,
exactly. And to no surprise, also actually I do just want to note, obviously we knew it was her and all that kind of stuff, but like LP and DW being like, no guys, you're crazy. The Bugmaster costume doesn't cover her face at all. It's literally like a hood. So you just see her face. And then also the voice. Every time she says something of, again, like D-Duck or like Darkwing Duck. See if you can catch me before I take another bug. Like it's all the same voice.
Even when she's in
her face. Like nobody's putting it together but Goslin.
Wait. Like when she's in costume?
Yeah.
So all these times it's like obvious that it's her.
Yeah. Okay. It's like literally just her face with like the like hood and like skin tight fit and like the same voice for everything.
Wait, didn't you say they were like the bug eyes or whatever?
But it's like on top of the head. It's not replacing her eyes. It's just like on top of the head.
I love how you built it up as like Goslin is so smart to like uncover this, and really it's just everyone else is so stupid.
Exactly. So
okay, awesome.
Awesome. Anyways, so guys, I will say though, at this point we do need to keep in mind that she is also a 9-year-old.
Yeah,
because unfortunately, so Goslin at first is like, you're a crook, like oh my god, but unfortunately Bianca puts together quickly that like Goslin sees Bianca as like her hero or was her hero. She's also a 9-year-old. And so Bianca is able to spin really quickly her own narrative around what's actually happening.
Ooh, she's too good of a journalist.
Yeah. And do we believe the story she tells this little baby goose? I'll let you decide.
Okay. We don't spoil it though, but no, we don't.
So Bianca explains to Gaz that because like Bianca basically says like, look, I felt so bad about that first news coverage where DW looked like a failure on live television by like a granny beating him up. Like, this is all my fault. Like, because it was live, I couldn't stop the reporting. So I'm here actually to help DW out by creating this villain and this nemesis that he, we get to build up this tension, and then he gets to take the Bugmaster down on live TV, and thus he is a hero on live TV. So I'm doing all of this for him, she says. And then hilariously, Goslin goes, so you're creating your own news to boost your own ratings?
Oh,
and
shit,
Bianca
she's
goes,
smart.
Yes. And Goslin goes, oh, okay. As long as she's like, okay, I get that. How can I help? Because basically, I think at this point,
put too much faith in her for a second.
Again, that's why I said, remember, she is a 9-year-old. Also, probably more
Bianca's
than
her
like
hero.
Yeah, Bianca's her hero. Also, even more than like her young budding career as investigative journalist, she's been mortified by the fact that her dad is being embarrassed on live television, that he doesn't see this. You know, she's got to go to school on Monday. Probably get
she does not want to get shoved in a locker for having the lame dad, which by the way, everyone at her school knows that she's Darkwing Duck's daughter. I still can't get over this. Huge liability, whatever.
Yeah, she got like her, you know, school rep to keep up to.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Poor Goslin. She agrees to help Bianca, quote unquote, make Darkwing Duck look good. But what she doesn't hear, of course, is Bianca explaining to her news crew that actually being a villain is like way more lucrative and exciting than being a TV anchor. Basically, she's planning to leave this like, yes.
No, you go ahead. I'll ask when you,
Go for it.
Okay.
You go.
Oh no, that's right. She did steal the scarab. I was like, she hasn't made shit. She hasn't, what? She made it more lucrative.
Holding the cockroach for ransom, maybe. It's a celebrity.
That's a high ransom for sure. You could do at least $1 million for sure. Okay, you're right.
Miming cockroach.
This is why I wanted to wait for you to continue, because I just interrupted you for like no reason, essentially, because like she hasn't made anything at all. But she
may have been wondering too.
Yeah.
She basically is like, I can. Like stealing shit is easily, kidnapping is easy. Like I can turn a quick buck rather than like sitting at this. And
it's also highly unadvisable.
Yes.
But okay.
Do not do any of this.
Do not do this, viewers and listeners. Do not. Nothing is more lucrative than your honest tax paying job or tax whatever qualifying job.
Exactly. So again, she basically is planning to leave this dumpy life behind as she now sees it, realizing that she can make millions as a criminal. And like her ambitions of being a news anchor, she wants to be on top like Tyra Banks of the game. You want to be on top. Na, 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 na. Anyways, she wants to go bigger and badder than anyone else as a criminal. And with that, she says that she now sees DW as nothing more than a mosquito who, for her big finish to this live series, to both, kind of like leave her trace and let her live on in some form of infamy as the next big baddie on the scene.
To be hired by Foul one day,
Probably she wants to lead Foul. She wants, I could see her wanting to take Foul out and her be number one, like take out the big three.
Yeah, and with those investigative and like communication skills, like journalism skills, like she could talk her way up to the top for sure. She just ran loops around that 9-year-old girl. So Foul is no concern.
Nope. Anyway. So she says, again, as the big finish to her live series, she plans to exterminate this mosquito.
Oh my gosh.
AKA DW.
She's very much leaning into this bug persona.
Yeah, again, a lot of bug puns.
Yeah.
So for this final showdown, Bianca, AKA the Bugmaster, goes back to, I guess, old school traditional media to throw down the gauntlet. She takes out a whole a whole page in the newspaper, which luckily LP is reading. Because again, he's there with the tea. Like he is constantly keeping up with that news.
Also because the newspaper talks about him a lot and he wants to know if he's been mentioned. That's happened in past episodes. But sure.
Yeah, most likely. Which also this would have been very awkward if LP wasn't reading the newspaper because they wouldn't have seen this announcement and then
so
I would have just been left waiting or something. Where the fuck are they?
Looking at her clock, surely he'll be here or watch. He'll be here any second now.
And they just never show up. Yeah, just twiddling her thumbs with the crew and Goslin live on air or something.
They're just taking a smoke break, waiting for things to jump into action, all just talking and stuff.
Yeah, shoot the shit. Giving Goslin
she's
advice
in full costume, just chatting with them.
She got the hood off because she's chilling.
Yeah.
All that. So again, luckily LP sees the announcement, basically calling DW to meet the Bugmaster at midnight at some address near the docks, probably the docks that Ammonia Pine was using, or the warehouses, I'm sure. Yes. In St. Canard. And of course, DW and LP are ready to step up. You know how I know they were ready? Because DW says, let's get dangerous.
That's the sign.
Which
That's one of his many warning calls.
Exactly.
Stepping up
go
to the streets.
Down. So DW and LP go to basically what I guess is like the equivalent of like the Burt's Bees factory or something. There's like
chapstick?
Yeah, like bees everywhere, and like vats of like boiling, bubbling beeswax for like candles and I guess chapstick and stuff.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know.
I got it. Okay.
I don't know how they make them, but I guess it's there. There's a lot of beehive imagery everywhere. Yeah. I guess that's what I picture the Burt's Bees factory to look like.
Yeah, it's just a giant beehive.
Yeah,
with like
basically
with like a place where a bunch of like semi trucks,
like
there's a beehive with bunches. Yeah,
Burt's Bees. If you're listening, redo your factory to look like a beehive.
You probably can't see because the sunlight's in my eyes.
Put it on for this episode.
I'm seeing where they're headquartered.
They're in the Northeast,
North Carolina.
Oh, fuck. Well,
or at least according this was made. At least I don't know.
Great.
Their headquarters could be somewhere else.
It doesn't say St. Canard.
No, sorry. Yeah, oh, you're right. It is down there. My bad.
The fine
Canard.
Print. Yeah, exactly. So then again, DW and Launchpad are like, fuck yeah, we'll go meet this bug master and put an end to this shit. As they roll up to the warehouse, DW looks at Launchpad and with a sigh goes, "It always comes down to this, Launchpad. You, me, a supervillain craving my destruction, and an abandoned warehouse." Which I just loved a lot.
Which is hilarious because we're five episodes into our coverage of this show, and that's already happened at least twice, if not maybe more.
Yep, probably every episode. Yep.
Yeah. True.
It's great. So as
very self-aware.
Yeah, he like breaks that like fourth wall all the time. And I love it. Again, the satire aspect of Darkwing Duck, and why again we would love to redo this show.
Absolutely.
To modern day.
Hand pass the ball, coach.
Pass the duck torch.
Teammate. Yeah. It's hot.
Too hot. It's bad idea.
Take it. Someone else take it. I don't want it anymore.
God. Everything's on fire. Help.
Instantly we get fired because we caught the studio on fire.
Exactly. So as they enter, they're met with, I guess, like Merryweather the cockroach, like miming to them that this is a trap and like get out of there because they knew that they were going to be faced with the Bugmaster.
Yeah.
But what they didn't expect is that DW and LP, and this is, I guess, what the Merryweather was really trying to mime, is that they're met with the camera crew and a new villain called the Grub. And I have to say, probably like the penguins in our last episode, it is so freaking cute.
Oh,
Goslin is in like this little like it's like almost like a little like baby caterpillar. Like it made me think of, in like this is so specific. In Lion King when Timon and Pumbaa are like eating the grub and they're like kind of like the like little chunky, like little chubby grub. Like that's her costume.
Like they're slurping them because they're so like voluptuous.
Yeah, and like
thick ass grubs. Yeah.
That's like her little costume and her little face is just peeking out. And it's so
are her bangs and stuff like popping out too?
I think the bangs may have been pulled back, but either way, it's
that
like
would have been
a
hilarious.
little onesie outfit of a grub, and it's so cute.
She's probably like so excited just to be like helping or just to be involved.
She's literally thrilled and is leaning into it because again, she thinks this is all like a setup to help DW and his image. So DW obviously immediately fucking recognizes Goslin at like his adopted daughter.
What the fuck are you doing? But also, I love how he recognizes her instantly, but doesn't recognize him Bianca. Yeah. Okay, selective, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Selective imagery. I don't know
what he wants to see. I guess
exactly. Everything is a Rorschach test, and Darkwing Duck's life, everything.
Exactly. But he like also knows that he's live on air because he knows the 24-hour news cycle is what Canard Copy is doing now.
Oh,
and so he like has to like he has to not be like being like, Goslin, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, oh, the grub. What are you doing?
Yeah. / can't say fuck. I'm on live TV.
Yeah. And like this is Disney show, so they go far, but not that far.
Also that.
But he's probably thinking it.
Yes.
So as Goslin is like distracting them and she's like, again, being like pretty adorable with like evil laughter type of thing, being like, we've caught you now.
Leaning into the role.
Like spider web, like net comes down on DW and LP, capturing them again, live on camera. And even more, we see what's been happening probably behind the scenes, like very quickly and aggressively of, I believe, Bianca basically like grooming Goslin and like using her like love for Bianca to her own advantage.
Yeah, to manipulate her.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's again like grooming her, abusing Goslin, like being a predator or what, but she shouts to Goslin like, act evil, make it look good for the camera. And so like Goslin again leans into it and she's like, take them to the beeswax, boys, to like the crew, and is again like evil laughing on camera. So like,
so is the film crew like also they've now turned into henchmen because they're just so afraid of Bianca and stuff?
Yes.
Okay,
and again,
gotcha.
Probably no breaks in between the two roles.
Their shifts just got even longer.
Yes, exactly. Like the union should be in here.
They're like carrying a camera and like a boom operator while also like carrying Darkwing. Like someone's gonna get hurt. Yeah. Where is IATSE?
They are
International Alliance of Theater Stage Hand Workers. I just have to, just in case people didn't watch last week. Yes. IATSE, where are you?
Get this union and get this crew unionized. People.
Please, they need some collective bargaining power. It is overworked and underpaid and abused on the job.
Deeply abused. And again, this was not on their job description, and yet here they are. But yeah, I do think they're doing it because they're fucking terrified. Maybe need the work. Anyways, so we then see over this like bubbling, boiling beeswax, DW and LP are like chained up over it. And also, Merryweather the cockroach is in like normal sized like handcuffs. And LP goes, why can't Merryweather get free? And DW goes, oh yeah, a free cockroach would be a huge advantage. And you just see like the little cockroach in like the huge cuffs, just like a dot. So it's real good.
Okay, wow, I love it. I don't even have a joke to make about
that. Good.
It's just hilarious.
It's just great.
Just visualizing it. I can't wait to watch this after this.
Yeah, just like the fact that they kept the cockroach normal size is so funny throughout this episode.
Okay, they probably at the beginning of the episode they're like, oh, it'll be so funny to make him just a normal sized cockroach that like this whole audience and the whole town of St. Canard is captivated by. Yes. And then once they got to that scene at the end, they're like, oh shit, you know what, leave it, it's even funnier.
Yeah, bug it. Which like it was
put him in normal size handcuffs.
And like I will say too, like later on, like they in the oncoming fight scene, they're like, you know, being lowered and raised and that kind of stuff because big surprise fight scene happens. And the whole time, like they include Merryweather, like they don't like drop that like art. It's like they're the whole time.
He's like distressed, like involved in all of this.
Just the dot, and like it's so good.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch this one.
Right. Anyways, so as they continue before the fight actually happens, as they continue to like get lower and lower, again, like the film crew is like starting to is like continuing to film like Bianca laughing evilly and Goslin, but Goslin starts to like actually stress out and like starts trying to like ask Bianca, like the Bugmaster on the side, like, hey, when are we gonna stop? Like, when do we like let DW capture us? Like, you said this was a setup. Like,
this is getting a little too intense.
Yeah, like we're calling it real close.
I'm still down for the plan. It's
cool.
I still love it. You still my hero, Bianca. Mm-hmm. But are we gonna reel back at any point? This is my father.
Yeah, like this is getting a little too tight. Like they're dangling like only feet above this boiling, bubbling. Like
it's like you're gonna stop the machine,
melt them alive. Right? Like what's happening here? Like they're supposed to be the hero, right? But again, Bianca, who like leaned into the fact that she's like, again, like, it's like a predator to this child, basically, literally says, I'm your idol, aren't I? I know, or I'm your idol, aren't I? I know what's best.
Yeah. You have to talk in her. I won't know if you're quoting her if you don't. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. So that, luckily for Goslin, and it's what like snaps her out of it, like that line, you know, never meet your heroes, all that type of stuff. But basically, yeah, Goslin's like, oh, fuck, like, I have been tricked. Like, this lady is taking advantage of me. This shit is real. She's actually trying to hurt my dad, my, I don't know, live-in stepdad, friend guy, and the cockroach.
Hey, you know, who knows what the situation there is.
Untraditional family, we love it.
There are some times where LP seems quite fond of Darkwing, yeah, I've noticed.
I would love, in our rewrite,
after... yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, shit. Okay. Will you be mad at me if I like real quick make a mention to my last episode that I didn't include that I just remembered?
At all. Go for it.
So there's a point where Darkwing. So in the last episode, our team was on a film set. I'll leave it at that without going into details. Go back and listen to it or watch it if you haven't yet, and then come right back here. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's a scene where DW and LP are like in costume trying to hide around set. And it's like a almost like a Pride and Prejudice-esque type of thing where Darkwing is in like this fancy dress with a wig, and LP is like in this nice old suit. Aww. And his name is like John. LP is playing a John and Darkwing is Martha. And Martha, aka DW, is like, oh, John, I love you. I love you. And they're like talking about their secret plan in between. Like whenever people like come around the set, they're like, get back in like in character to try to hide. And then at the end, DW like runs away to go chase a phantom, and LP looks sad, like, oh, he left, like as they were like pretending to like kiss and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, actually looked heartbroken. I was like, oh my god, does LP like actually love Darkwing? It's possible. Anyway,
in our rewrite, they are a couple.
Yeah,
raising like, Goslin together.
Maybe there's like a little something there going on. Yeah, we love it. So
amazing.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yes, we love this. So anyways,
sorry about that.
No, that was worthwhile because I fully am in support of this.
Endorse.
So Goslin like snaps out of like this, you know, trance of her hero, realizing, you know, all of the faults, that she is an imperfect person and also a maniac, and is about to kill her whole family again. Like this is rehashing trauma again. She was an orphan. Her whole family got murdered.
Yeah.
Well, this is trauma 2.0 about to go down.
And she sees like, oh my god, I've seen this before. I know what's about to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as Bianca like hams it up for the camera, again, Goslin realizes like Bianca didn't lie about creating her own news story, but she did obviously lie about why she was doing this. It was never to help DW's image. It was for Bianca's own greed and ambition to be a numero uno, which if you've been listening thus far to this episode, I say, duh. That's why we talked about 24-hour news cycle and competition.
Yeah, exactly. Duh.
Anyways, so Goslin, like, again, is like starting to like push Bianca more and more. Bianca kind of like gets the cameras to like turn off because she's like, oh shit, my like little minion is turning against me. Like that can't be on live TV.
Bad for
like
ratings.
Cut to commercial type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, turns the news cameras away. DW, luckily, while Bianca is distracted with Goslin, DW is able to like get free and escape. Basically, he was like, oh yeah, I didn't write down the name of it. I'm sure the name is some reference to something of like some type of like martial arts or like something, but basically, or like, I don't know, yoga or acrobatics. I don't fucking know. Basically, he's able to like contort himself out of the cuffs. And he's able to, like basically crawl up, stop the lever. Again, he fights with the crew member who's in control of the lever.
Poor crewmen.
They just were trying to
like, I did not sign up for this. Like, but she's gonna kill. Either she kills me or I kill him. So.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, they are fighting for their lives right now.
Yeah,
these poor crew members. Anyways, so basically Bianca and DW start fighting at this point. And Goslin, in seeing that, like the crew members are kind of taken down and out of commission, that Bianca is truly fighting DW, who like has now realized who she is. Goslin runs and takes the camera and turns it on them, like on the fight, to like live stream, like the OG live streamer, basically.
Oh, yeah.
To show that Bianca is actually evil and is actually trying to hurt, if not kill, DW. So in another great line, Goslin goes, "It's the first step to investigative reporting. Make them think you're on their side, and when they least expect it, whammo." So like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. She's trying to cover her ass.
Yeah. She's like,
bitch, you totally fell for it. Let's be real. But it's cool. It's cool. You found out,
came back around,
and you sounds like you're about to save the day. Yeah. So
I will say, yes, saving the day of like revealing what's happening to everyone of St. Canard. Also, low key, like somehow grabs the like web or like the wasp like taser gun and shoots the crew. And like takes the crew fully out while DW
She's
and
got
Bianca,
firearm skills. She's been training for this moment.
Again, not Bianca, Goslin, that bitch. She is shooting people. So, in the final moments of battle, DW turns one of Bianca's like bug-themed inventions around on her by shooting that like web net gun thing that trapped him earlier. He traps her and of course says to the camera, "Caught in her own twisted web of deceit."
Oh my God.
So she
again, there's only room for one pun master in this town of St. Canard.
And it's DW, damn it.
Exactly.
Only.
Not the villains.
So, so Bianca does get caught in the web. Goslin, again, catches it all on camera. They reveal, I'm sure, who it was on live TV. I'm sure those ratings spike in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Goslin got that front page of the elementary press the next morning.
Perhaps
she got
even of the
story.
Canard copy as well for taking out their greatest reporter, apparently, and doing better at their job than they did. Yeah, and villain.
Yep. And with that, I would say that I guess in the end, Bianca, did get what she wanted. She wanted to get to the top of the news game, and like, hot damn. Again, I'd be surprised if Goslin's quick thinking to turn that camera back on, that she did get the highest ratings that night, even as her own plot like unraveled right before her very eyes.
Yes.
And I'm sure whatever like prison you go to for kidnapping bugs and like larceny, like theft and like attempted murder with the whole like boiling the everyone alive in beeswax thing, that like I'm sure Bianca in jail is actually a star. Like
prosecutors, she's
I'm sure
probably
she's
like leading their like the prison like theater troupe or something.
The morning announcements in prison. Like she's got the voice for it.
She's like a tutor, probably doing like English tutoring, like writing lessons and stuff.
Today on the menu, more slop, followed by 1 hour of yard time. Please note, we will have a riot at exactly 2:30. Stay in for the 6 o'clock news to see who starts it today. So
we'll be back with more from the St. Canard prison for the criminally untalented. We're just going to assume that's where they all get sent. I don't know. Wow.
So
great job. Amazing.
There you go.
Well done. Okay.
How close was that to the plot of that one movie?
So, before I jump into that, I was trying to like balance like listening and grasping this episode while also like saying, okay, that reminds me of Nightcrawler, or that reminds me of Nightcrawler. But before I get to that, so where the fuck did she get the bug suit from? Did she just like make it?
And like all of the weapons.
Yeah, like where did all this stuff come from?
I bet she building her crew
life of crime for. Yeah, they know how to work cameras and lights and stuff. I'm sure they can come up with a wasp gun or whatever it was called,
like a high tech weapon. Yeah, while also editing, producing, filming live, like.
And actually, no, you know that this stuff was all. She came up with this stuff on the cuff because the only reason she went with Bug was because Merriweather was in town. She's like, oh, I've got to be a bigger bug. So she decided like in that moment and came up with all of it. That's crazy. That makes her actually very threatening of a villain if she can come up with this shit, or at least has crew members who are so afraid of her that they will come up with it.
This is truly like the most overworked crew in Hollywood.
Again, last week we talked about like those long ass shifts that some people on film and like TV production sets have to go through. This crew was working double time of those shifts. Okay. I said like 13 hours that time. They were working 26-hour shifts.
And like having to
with
be like
2 hours
engineers all of a
rest,
sudden,
maybe.
like creating and like these weapons and
This was
costume
not in
designers.
their union contracts. Actually, no, these people are clearly not a part of the union. They
Also,
are
of like,
unfortunately not protected.
Also, I'm just picturing though of like, okay, great. We made her weapons. Great. We've got her fit to specifications. Great. We figured out like going live technology. Again, all of her weapons. Great. We took the ad out in the newspaper to like call DW out. And then like they go into like work to collect the cameras. And Bianca's like, by the way, you must now make a costume for this small child. And they're like, are you fucking kidding us?
Fucking kidding me? What? It's like, yeah, things change in the plan. So make this costume. Damn it.
But God, are you kidding us? We ran out of materials. Michael's is closed.
Massive bags under their eyes, and their eyes are like red. They're like hunching over from holding the cameras and the stuff on their shoulders all
like
day.
Joanne Fabrics closed 3 hours ago. Where the fuck are we going to find it for a grub costume?
Figure it out.
Did you get the measurements of this small child?
Figure it out.
Or else you will be fired.
Or else you will be fired from my wasp cannon
that
you created.
Will be murdered. God damn it. I haven't seen my family in 4 days.
At 6. Yeah. Did I murder you or not? You'll know tonight.
Find out tonight at 7. Yeah. So
trying to think. Okay, before I jump back into Nightcrawler, let me make sure there's no other loose ends there. There
are a lot.
Well, there are a lot, true, but okay, let me put it this way: are there loose ends that I wish to address or just accept?
Yes.
I think I accept most of the other loose ends. I think, really just thinking about how she was able to throw this whole supervillain persona together so quickly this poor crew. Those were the two things that were just really biting at my head this whole time. Like, what? Well, okay. I can't wait to watch this. Cannot wait to watch this episode again, because now I will talk about why it reminds me of this amazing movie, Nightcrawler. And I had to pull up the Wikipedia page for it because I want to I'll read kind of like the one-liner plot of it. And then, because I don't want to spoil it, because this is a very good movie. I think it received various accolades, including a Best Original Screenplay nomination at the 87th Academy Awards, I'll just add my little pedantic movie loving plug that movies with original screenplays I feel like they're too far and few in between nowadays. Like everything is a remake, everything is a reboot, everything is a live action adaptation. I love those movies too. Don't get me wrong, but it's like everything is based off of a book or something now these days. This is an original screenplay. Again, the movie is Nightcrawler. It came out in 2014. It is another reason why I like it. A neo-noir psychological thriller film. Whoa. Again, it's not actually scary, but it is kind of gruesome. It's crime-centered, but it's looking at the reporting side of crime in America. So here is the little one-liner. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Lou Bloom, a stringer who records violent events late at night in Los Angeles and sells the footage to a local television news station. And then one other line that I'll read about it, which I think will be able to sum this up. A common theme in the film is the symbiotic relationship between unethical journalism and consumer demand. Oh, shit. It's a lot of this episode. Lou Bloom is Bianca Bankley, essentially. He is like this guy out on his luck. He needs work at whatever cost. He gets a camera. He realizes how lucrative it is for these stringers, which actually, let me look up exactly what a stringer. It's a specific journalistic term. A stringer is a freelance journalist, photographer, or videographer who contributes reports or photos or videos to a news organization on an ongoing basis, but is paid individually for each piece of published or broadcast work. So he sees how lucrative that is. And he's like, oh, well, also the more, violent or the more crazy and whatever the story is, the more they're going to pay for it. And also, the sooner you get to the scene of the crime.
First.
If you're there first, they're going to pay even more because your footage is supreme because you've like got it happening.
Yeah.
And Lou Bloom,
Sus.
Jake Gyllenhaal's character, is a smart guy.
Yeah.
So he realizes that there's a good way to be the first one to a crime, just as Bianca Binkley did. And I'll leave it at that. Amazing movie. Again, Oscar nominated.
Canard crawler.
Yes, the St. Canard. The Los Angeles night crawler is the St. Canard crawler. Great movie though. Really good cast. Again, it's not scary. So even though it kind of sounds scary, like thriller, psychological night crawler, it's not. It's like political and like crime related suspense, not like, I mean, there is murder because it's crime, but it's not like that kind of murder. It's like,
it's not like a horror jump out of your seat.
Exactly. Really good movie. Hold on real quick. Let me see where you can, I forget where I watched it. Cause I feel like now that I'm like hyping this movie up so much, I want people to know where they can go watch it.
Yeah, I think I want to go watch it now. Cause again, if it's not horror, I'm down.
Oh, that's sad. It used to be on a streaming service. It's not anymore. Or maybe I did rent it. You can rent it for $3.99 on Amazon Prime or on YouTube. Easily. You know, if you can swing it, honestly do it because I think it's probably one of the best drama movies to really like analyze this 24-hour news cycle, this consumer demand, all of this. Like I said earlier, Anchorman does it on one side very well. Like if you want to laugh. Yeah. And then Nightcrawler does it on the other side when you think of the actual social like repercussions and how
far
this
you're system,
how this system can really actually kind of have some very negative consequences. So check it out, rent it if you can, get a few people together to like split it together or whatever. If you can't cough up the few bucks to watch it, but hey, it's worth the watch for sure. Amazing. So that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it, but I
think we can assume what happens, but great.
Yeah, exactly. Essentially, like you said, this episode tells that story. So now I think with like every single episode of Darkwing Duck we've done so far, we're like, they've predicted so many things.
I know.
Like, is every film actually just, or like life event just inspired by Darkwing Duck?
Nightcrawler was an original screenplay. I don't fucking think so.
Sorry,
based on Fraudcast news.
It wasn't
from Darkwing Duck. Episode either from season 2 or 3, it's unclear.
Whichever. Go look it up though. If you watch Fraudcast news, you essentially watch Nightcrawler, but also watch Nightcrawler because do both. Great movie.
Great.
Cool.
Well,
anyway, so
who should they tell about this episode? Who should they spread the word to this week?
I think that this week I'm going to do something. Maybe you'll hate me for this, but it's like a super, super basic idea of who you should tell.
Okay, that's fine.
Just call up your best friend this week. Seriously, give them a call. And if they're not already listening, then tell them like, hey, by the way, like, I know we haven't chatted in a few days or however long, and tell them to watch Saturday Morning Mysteries. And if they do watch it, then call up a friend or just like message a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, close friend or otherwise, whatever, and tell them. So very grounded today. Just honestly literally just tell your friend this week. And I know we say that like multiple times throughout the episode, but this time I really fucking mean it. Tell your friends.
Okay, well, I will say then, tell your frenemy, tell like your nemesis and be like, hey, I've listened to all of the episodes of Saturday Morning Mysteries and watched all of them. I bet you haven't. Because then they will go watch all of them and be like, I already subscribed. So after you tell your bestie, or somebody you haven't talked to in a little bit, tell your enemy / frenemy and make it a competition to make sure that they listen.
Yes.
Because you are better than them and make sure they know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to make your way to the top.
Na, 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 na. Great. All right. Well, with that note,
I'm gonna go watch AOT before AOT. Oh my God, I'm getting my shows. ANTM. I'm getting Attack on Titan. Sorry, gonna go watch that real quick. Getting my
oh my God, what a great fucking show.
Up after this long afternoon of DW recollection. Anyway, gonna go watch America's Next Top Model before watching Darkwing Duck again.
Great, beautiful.
And all right, we'll be back next week, friends.
All right, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.